This is called the show. If you didn't know, this is called the show.
Ladies.
Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the show. You're listening to Elizabeth Meza. And I am so excited because I finally was able to get in the talented. You are going to be called the entrepreneur, producer, author, and you're also an adult film star, or I should say you were, talent agent and radio host Lisa Ann.
Hello, it's so great to be here with you.
I'm so excited I have you finally in the studio.
And it's okay. The porn star thing's not going away. I'm kind of typecast. So, the retired title doesn't change the fact that I'm still the most searched girl in the industry worldwide.
Yeah.
And I've realized that it's not like when you go from bagging groceries to waitress. You can drop the bagging groceries thing and just become a waitress. But once you're a well-known porn star, it sticks.
You are still number one.
Yeah.
You're number one. Everybody knows who you are. It's like the moment that I told people who was coming in, they're like, Lisa, as you saw, the studio, everybody stuck around because they wanted a picture with you.
It's a gleam of excitement. And when I do get to go out and be around people, I feel that energy that they feel for me.
Yeah.
And there's moments where it can catch you off guard. But for the most part, especially in an environment like this where I'm coming to see you and I know these are all of your people, it's really fulfilling for me. And that's what kept me on the road feature dancing so many weekends a year for so many years. I used to be on the road 42 to 45 weekends a year.
Yeah.
And what it was all of those happy faces and all of those hugs and all those people that got lost in the moment with me when I was either dancing or having a chat with them. That just inspired me and gave me so much energy to come back to LA and do the other things that I did. So the interaction and the appreciation, you feel that moment and you're like, we shared something. I was there in spirit in my scene. You enjoyed it and now we're connected by something. It's a very different celebrity vibe.
And speaking of scenes, like March 23rd is the premiere of After Porn Ends Too. And that's a documentary where you're going to have, there's a lot of retired porn stars.
Yep. And this one, the first one is on Netflix now. If anybody wants to go and pregame and see what the first one was about, After Porn Ends, the first one, Mary Carey, a good friend of mine, was on the cover of that one. I'm on the cover of this one. This one has Ginger Lynn, Janine, Tabitha Stevens, what was his name? It'll come to me. But we're having the premiere here in LA, which should be really fun. I shot the documentary at my home the day that my books were getting delivered to me the first time because it was just kind of worked out where within the 2 weeks they wanted to shoot. I was like, well, on December 12th, my books are getting delivered. I'm going to see them for the first time. Why don't you guys be there for that? Because I want to relive that again later. And I remember that first day opening my book and then seeing what it was like without the sleeve on it, which was exciting. You design it. I self-published, so you design it, but touching it. And then as we were doing my interview, I looked over and the producer's assistant was sitting on a chair in my place, just reading my book, just holding it up, reading it. And it was the first time I got to see somebody else reading it.
Wow.
It's a powerful feeling. It's really like, okay, I did it. I said I wanted to do it and I completed it. It's not easy.
No, I could imagine it's hard. And this is The Life that Lisa Ann, and it's out right now. You guys can get a copy. And thank you so much for my copy. I love that you personalized it. I read it this weekend, and I'm really, I cannot believe everything. The book is your entire life. From beginning to, leading up to retirement.
Yep.
And, what you also include, what you're doing now.
Career, yes.
Yeah. I love your book. I could not stop reading it.
I'm so glad.
I was hooked. So thank you for sending it to me.
And it was a perfect rainy weekend for a good book.
Yeah. I was hooked. I couldn't even stop. It's like, honestly, I had to pee, and I was like, nope, I'm going to hold it. I need to get through. And then finally I was like, okay, Elizabeth, you've been holding
this chapter, I'll go, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, stop. You have to go pee.
And I love to read.
Yeah, I love your book. I had no idea everything that's in the book, everything that you've been through, and it's amazing that you included everything, your personal life in it.
Well, it's trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
We all have ups and downs, and I think now this year I turned 45. I think you have a much better understanding of things aren't always going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's the ups and the downs that you get through that really show you your inner tenacity and who you really are. And as miserable as you might be in the moment of something, the ebbs and flows of just, as people, we don't always feel 100%. We're not always awesome. Everything isn't always great. But you look at those bad situations and you remember what got you through them, whether it was your couple friends, whether it was reading, whether it, whatever you pulled from yourself. And it's the good and the bad that makes us who we are. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think the more honest you are with it and the more you are able to share it with other people, what do we all love? We all love a good underdog.
Yeah.
You know, making their way. And we all love to see these stories on the news where something horrible happened to somebody and then something wonderful happened to them and their family. We love that. And so to tap into the truth and not sugarcoat it and not let everyone, I didn't want to defame the industry itself.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take away a little bit of the glamour. And I also wanted to express, and something that I'm even getting deeper into in my second book is just the way Americans consume porn, and especially the younger generation, because it's so accessible on their phone, because they no longer have to put a credit card down. You mix that combo with some of the stuff that I wrote about the styles of scenes that directors want girls to shoot and things that I didn't want to shoot. And when I look at now and people say, why are you still so popular? And I said, because you know what? I never let somebody stuff my head in a toilet. I never did a scene that was so graphic that one of my fans, now listen, I did interracial gangbangs. It was fucking beautiful sex that I was loving. It wasn't degrading. And I think what happens is fans love a girl, they love a girl, and then the companies start pushing her to do things she normally doesn't do, and then she does them to keep working, which I understand. But then one day, these fans are like, oh, that was traumatic, I can't watch her anymore.
Yeah.
They do. They have feelings too.
Yes, they do.
So, and especially the generation of consumer porn watchers, the adults that pay for it, the adults that want it. I have more older people, older couples, late 50s, early 60s that used to come to see me at the club, and they would say, we love watching your movies because we never feel bad for you.
Yeah. I love how you specifically picked out every scene and also performer that you wanted to do your scenes with.
It's personal.
I love that.
But see, in the 90s, that was what we were told was normal. It was like, this is your choice. You only do what you want to do. We want you to meet all the performers before you have sex with them, decide if you have chemistry with them. We want you to be excited about driving to set each day that you're working. And so to me, I was really walking on set and living a fantasy. I was, you know, as a single woman, it's not easy to get good sex. And when people say, oh, that's crazy, it's not crazy. And I'll tell you why.
It's true.
You end up going through all these weird scenarios in your head. Do I invite him to my house and then he knows where I live? And what if he becomes a stalker? Do I go to his house where maybe he could potentially kill me and he knows where to hide my body at his house? Like, in your mind as a woman, these are the normal thoughts in your head. So for me to be able to go onto set and be in these dynamic sexual situations where I look at porn like the Olympics of sex. So it's guaranteed with the performers I work with that I was going to feel like some good Olympic style, beautiful sex that I loved. And I was going to shower and go home. There's no creepy lingering factor. There's no, is this guy going to be outside my house dying?
You know, what I love about sex, you know, when you're talking about sex, I love the fact, like in your book, how you talk about that you were having sex with like younger guys.
Right.
I love that because I went through a phase in my life where that's what I did. Like after my divorce, I did the same thing. So I'm reading your book and you're talking about your sexcapades with like younger men. I was like, yes. I was like, okay, great.
And you brought up a great word there, and it's phase. And I think what couples go through in a relationship is they don't understand that just because they got married or got together at a certain time doesn't mean they're not going to walk into different sexual phases of their lives. And they have to really stay communicating with each other. So maybe it's 10 years you didn't watch porn and then you want to go on a vacation and rent porn for the weekend. But you have to test your boundaries together and try new things, because that's why people get bored. And when you're single, you can live through every phase you want. You can live through every phase you want. No one's judging you. No one's in your way, you know? So I think couples, because it's dynamic to me when I see couples that have been together 30, 40 years and they're still in love and there's still that passion there and they still work at it. And it's an important thing in our society for us to see more people loving each other and looking out for each other.
Yes.
It's not common.
No, it's so true. And, you know, speaking of like porn, everybody wants to know, why did you make that decision to retire? And also, some people that, some of the listeners, they don't even realize that you've retired. They, when I was tweeting, they were asking me, wait, has she retired? Is she retired? And I was like, listen to the show.
Well, the great thing was, I wanted to retire. It was December of 2014. It was my 24th year in the business. I was getting to a point where I realized that you can only get so popular in the business and become so successful until everybody starts kind of knocking you down. Mm-hmm. And it's one of these businesses that's mainly male run. It's mainly male power, ego driven. Yeah. So even the people that I was making money for years and never had a problem with, we're starting to kind of push and bully. We're starting to kind of fuck with me a bit. And I remember thinking that my last year especially, even my dance agents just treating me like shit, just lying to me about shit, and then blaming it all on me. And it's like, wait a minute, I fill every club I go to. I've never had a drink on the road. I've never missed a show. I've never been sick. I've never, all these years, and this is what I'm getting. And it just hit me like a lead balloon that it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to leave as much as the business was kind of pushing me out. And I really feel... Now, when I retired, I only retired from being in front of the camera. I wanted a break from that. Yeah. And we'll break that down first. One of the toughest things for me being still in front of the camera was my risk factor. And I was constantly taking myself to the doctor to get shots I shouldn't be getting, even though I didn't have anything. So it was to the point where I was doing a penicillin K-Pack shot, 10 times a year for my last 5 years in the business. And that's only because even though I would love the guy I was working with on set, he would be telling me the girls that he worked with the day before or maybe something else. And so I would just think that I was on this like tree of potential germ risks. And once prostitution became so relevant in the business and so many of the girls were doing it and still are, I really worried, like, can I trust this girl that she's with this random guy at the hotel and he doesn't offer her more money to have sex without a condom? And, in 2013, when we had multiple positive HIV cases, and I was aware that a lot of those people were partying and playing with people, which is when they don't pay them to have sex, when they just give them drugs. Right. And I knew there was one main culprit. It was going to be a Hollywood celebrity who was positive and who had been having all these parties for years. And I just watched this all unfold, and it was the same year with the Mr. Marcus thing and the Alex Gons thing that I wrote about. And so my last 2013 was this year where the industry was shut down 5 or 6 times because of these health factors. It just started to weigh on me so much that it was giving me this silent anxiety that I thought about every time I shot. Right. And so I had to see what it felt like to not have that. And I can remember on my 1-year anniversary of retiring, I texted all my friends. I go, this is not just my 1-year anniversary of retiring. This is my 1-year anniversary of not taking any unnecessary penicillin shots. Like, that's not good for your immune system. Right. It's not good for your health. And I'm such a healthy person. Yeah. So there was that. And, on the industry side, I just really felt like things were taking this spin. And I thought, okay, well, if I stay on board and produce and direct, I can control my own content, and I could be that person that talent works for once a month, that it's a good set, there's going to be no choking, there's going to be no smacking, there's going to be nothing violent, the girl's going to get to wear what she wants, she's going to get to work with who she wants, and I really loved that. Yeah. But when I left, it blew up in my face. My retirement blew up in my face so venomously that my very first public event, which was in January 15th, the XBiz Awards show 2 years ago, one of the girls decided as soon as I went on stage to present award to stand up and just start saying horrible things. And then when it was her turn to get on stage, she spent 5 minutes talking about how the business doesn't want me there anymore, what a dirty old cunt I am, and how ugly I am, and that everybody wanted me to leave years ago, and I should go die and crawl under a hole. Like, these horrible things. And I honestly climbed into a rock for 1.5 years. I mean, you're only the second interview I've done since then. I've stuck with my sports stuff. I buried my head in the sand, and it's just taken the dust to settle for me to say, did you really leave the business because you wanted to, or did you get bullied the fuck out of the business? And do your fans know that you still want to be doing things in the business, or did it because I just went underground? I mean, the tweets and the way we live in this society where if one person says a hateful thing, then 100 other people want to jump on the bandwagon, and they want to say hateful things too. And so my timelines were just disgusting. We couldn't take calls on my sports show for over a year.
See, to me, that's
all we were getting was death threats and harassment. All I was getting at my house was death threats and harassment. All my neighbors were getting was death threats. I mean, it jeopardized everything in my life.
That to me, it's crazy. It's so crazy how social media can have such a huge impact